What's up, YouTube? Did you know Timmy Turner from the hit designer song Timmy Turner? It's a show.
I'd love for cartoons to be real. Pokemon, hentai, but God am I glad Fairly Odd Parents isn't. Mainly because it's kids making the wishes. And if you know any kids, or if you have been one yourself, you know what bastards all of them are. They should be the last people who get to wish for shit. Everyone else needs to go before them. Think about it, they don't contribute anything to the economy or to culture at all. The terrifying majority of them are incels, in fact, and they're just chaotically stupid. It's I'm speaking from experience. Myself, I was the dumbest kid. Like, there's lots of kids, there's lots of dumb ones, but I definitely took the cake for being the dumbest child, possibly ever. And just in case you think I'm exaggerating a little bit, or maybe you think you deserve the title of dumbest kid ever and not me, let me just tell you real quick the story of how I found out what a vagina is. And that'll put any doubts you might have in your mind to rest. It was the summer of 1997. I had not started school yet. My hobbies at the time were damaging other people's property and also occasionally shitting myself and then remaining stationary and crying until an older person in my community would tell me to go home, at which point I would. Some of the less asocial children, or at least the ones who shat themselves less frequently than I did, they would play together. And one group of these kids was a gathering of young ladies who lived in the same building that I did. And they got together to play restaurant. And these girls were entrepreneurs. They were natural-born hustlers. They weren't doing this shit for free. They would lure potential clients in with a sample and then charge for every food item thereafter. They had their business plan figured out to a T. They were serving only one food item. It was a sliced apple with a raisin on top. Low overhead, they could make it very quickly, and they could turn out large numbers. But I didn't understand how any of this worked at the time of them calling me over for a sample. I took the little apple slice with a raisin on top and ate it, and it was, at that point, just the most delicious thing I'd ever had. It was amazing. The girl who gave it to me, she said, well, did you like it? I said, yes. The flavor, the texture, the presentation, all of it is divine, unmatched. Give me the recipe, please. And she said, well, do you want another one? It's, and then she told me an amount of money. And I was very confused at that point. Because up until that moment, I had only eaten what other people gave me for free. So I figured there was a misunderstanding going on, and I let her know that not only do I not have money, but also I have never had money of any amount. I have no immediate plans to gain money, and I don't really have the ability to conceptualize what money is exactly, but I would still like for her to continue feeding me. And after she rejected what I at the time thought was a mutually beneficial proposal, I began thinking of other ways I could receive this apple. See, at that point I had no idea how commerce worked. I was only familiar with receiving charity, with theft, and with a very primitive form of barter in which I would trade literally anything I had for literally anything that was offered to me. But somehow I had no problem understanding extortion, and that came very naturally to me. So that was the route I chose to go with. I really had to think on my feet to come up with something to leverage against her. Luckily for me, some of the older boys in my neighborhood had been kicking my penis and making a sport out of it. And I knew how much pain that inflicted onto a human being. So I said to her, listen, those apple slices you have, give me all of them, and also continue making them explicitly for me, and I'll eat all of them. And in exchange, I won't kick your penis. And if you fail to comply with these requests, then I'm gonna kick your penis so hard. And God bless this young lady. She and her friends outnumbered me 10 to 1. They could have pulverized my penis. They could have Dragon Ball Z Budokai'd my testicle bag and sent me on my way. But instead, she just got this look of confusion and pity and tried explaining things to me. She was confused more than anything. She said, how do you not know this? We're the same age. I'm aware that there's multiple sets of genitals people can have. I'm fairly certain you don't know how to read. Which is unrelated, but I feel like it's also important to say right now. And then she went on to explain to me, or at least try to, what a vagina is and how it differs from a penis. But I would interrupt her every few words because I was 100% sure that she was confusing this made-up word for an anus, and I thought that she just had her back and front confused and was describing her butt. And I kept interrupting her, and then I got heated, I got very angry, and at that point the other girls came in. They said, alright, he's had enough, quit serving him apples, and you gotta go home, buddy. And I did, but not because they told me to, but I went home to get my brother. I said, come avenge me. They made a fool out of me. My reaction to hearing new information was to get so frustrated that I came home begging for my older brother to come beat all of these young kids. Of course he didn't do that. But thank God that was an older brother and not a set of Fairly Odd Parents. If children got to wish for shit, then I really don't think we would last for a whole day. Like, as a species, I think we'd be dead within like 3-4 hours. Just all of us. Right, and with that, I'm going to take a little intermission from the rambling and tell you a little bit about what's going on screen. And I know most of you aren't here for drawing tips, so I'm going to keep it very short and sweet. So what you've been seeing up to this point has just been the sketch that I'm going to work off of. I'm doing it in colored pencil because that scans really well. Or, I don't have a scanner, I'm going to take a picture of it, but you know what I mean. So my goal here is definitely not to shade and articulate and render everything perfectly. I just want to get all of the information down on the page so then I can work on it digitally. And the approach to starting this out, the way I do it is I just block out some basic shapes. I did a big circle for the Wanda, then I did a little flat hot dog shape for Cosmo, and a cylinder for the castle. So I'll get all of the basic shapes down, make sure I'm happy with them, and then I start just scribbling in features, again very lightly. I'll scribble in the area where a fin should go, and then where the crowns go and stuff like that. And if I'm happy with the shapes, then chances are I'll be happy with them if I fill them in. And likewise, if the basic shapes suck, the picture's gonna suck. And that's a lesson I had to learn the hard way a million times. I would just make something with the expectation of, I'll detail it, I'll do this, I'll do that, it'll look better. No, it doesn't. It just turns into hours and hours of turd polishing. So if you are someone who is starting out in drawing, then that's the biggest, most valuable little nugget of advice that I can give to you. Don't put off anything towards the next step, expecting to fix the drawing that way. Good line work won't fix bad design. Good shading won't fix bad line work. And good coloring won't fix bad shading. So that's just, if you pick up one thing from me and one thing alone, just let it be that. Everything else you can completely ignore and honestly be better off for it. So right now what you're seeing on screen is the colored pencil sketch is done. I took a picture of it with my phone and sent it over to my iPad. and I'm drawing right now in the program Procreate, just going over all of the line work and making it a little bit more tight, a little bit more defined, accenting certain bits, giving everything an outline. And then I'm taking that background and line work and throwing it into Photoshop. Just selecting the whole background. I'm going to fill it in with a flat black. And for that it's important to have 2 different layers for your sketch and line work, so you can do the fill in between those 2 layers and still have your line work go over it. Then after that, I'm back in Procreate, and I'm using the layer effect color at first to just lay down flat orange, flat purple. Then after that, I'm wiping out the orange a bit from the face, smearing it out. Then on a separate layer, I'm going in with overlay and adding light. So at this point, I've got the colors down. Then I'm gonna add my highlights, my shadows, and I'll be done, basically. And the very last thing I'm gonna do, and I do this for absolutely everything, from illustrations to dick pics, I'm gonna pop it into Photoshop and at first check the vibrance and saturation. Just make sure that it doesn't look nuclear or that it doesn't look too pale. And after that, I'm gonna mess with the curves a little bit and most typically bring down the shadows a bit and bring up the highlights a bit to make it pop. And with that, I'm done. Quick and easy, just like a well-aimed kick to the penis.
You've made it all the way to the end, and I can't thank you enough. Seriously, thank you so much for being here. If you like what you saw, then I'll be keeping these videos coming once a week. So just stay up with me, mash that subscribe button, crucify that subscribe button, annihilate that subscribe button. And in the description below, you will find 2 of the following 3 things. A link to buy prints of this image, a link to be a part of my Reddit live stream where you can tell me what to draw and I'll make it happen on the spot, and a link to my OnlyFans where you can see pictures of my sweet, sweet boy vagina. 2 of those 3 are in the description below. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next week.